everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Queens of DMV. I have my girls here with me, Cher and Arnita, and our topic today is a very good one: how to win an offer in a competitive market.
I love it.
Ladies, so we know what the market is doing right now. We've seen the growth in real estate year over year. What are some best practices that you all are doing out in the market, whether it's Maryland, DC, or Virginia, to put your clients in the best position to win an offer? Cher, do you want to start?
Sure. I think, some things, and it's probably pretty general across the board, but I'll kind of back up a little and say that I have to love my newer agents because they teach me new things all the time. You can stay in that old school vein and do business the way you were doing business when you first started. But listening to younger agents and how they do business has been very effective for me. And it's just like before I knew about pre-inspections, like I was like, what is that? What's pre-inspection? Like I didn't know what that was. And this was a few years ago, but it's when the market started getting really hot and I was losing offers left and right. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing different here? And the more and more I talked to like newer agents, they were schooling me on pre-inspection. So what is a pre-inspection? Pre-inspection is just when you get a home inspection before you actually go under contract. So that allows you to really have the opportunity to waive the home inspection contingency, which is a really big deal when you're in a competitive market and in a competitive offer situation. So that's one thing I learned and one thing I do. And teaming up with a lender that can really pre-underwrite deals. And I know it's market specific, so Charles County, PG County may be a little bit different than DC. But being able to do a closing in 7 to 10 days. I mean, when I first started in the business, it was 30 days, and that's just what it was. A typical home inspection contingency was 7 to 10 days. Typical finance contingency was 21 days, appraisal 21 days. But now you're seeing contracts are actually closing in 7 to 10 days, and they're being super competitive with cash offers. It's hard to beat a cash offer, but if you come in with an offer that has no home inspection contingency and super low finance and appraisal contingencies, and you can close in 10 days, then now you're being super competitive. Sometimes, of course, I'll throw in the letter, the letter to the seller, the tear jerker, how do I capture the seller's heart? And if it's
I'm going to say those don't work. They don't work.
They do.
They do.
They
Not
do.
all the time, but they do.
Sellers are like, I'm going to select this person because they're a single mom. Like they are worried about the money. They're not necessarily worried about who's buying.
I don't find that. I honestly don't find that. Honestly, not as the listing agent or the buyer's agent. I think if you're a developer, then it's more of a transactional financial thing. But if you're, and remember, they're getting the guidance from us as the listing agent. So if your vibe is just look at the numbers, then all they're going to look at is the numbers. But if you're telling them to look at the overall package, and when I'm working with buyers, I'm like, look, if they send me a letter and it doesn't have enough tear jerking points in there, I'm rewriting that letter for them.
Yeah,
I've won so many offers before because of the letter, not with a developer, but with a owner that's lived in that property for years.
Yeah.
They have, a certain emotional tie to that property. Like they don't want to just sell that property to anybody that's going to blow up their house and, not care about the memories that they created there.
Maybe they raise their kids there and they really want to pass it down to somebody who's going to take care of it.
Exactly. So I do think like if you have all the components that you need in that offer and you're, low home inspection or no home inspection and a pre-inspection, low finance contingency, low appraisal contingency, if you can strike any of those things, safely, and close in a quick time period, you're going to win.
Yeah, the same way. I really feel the letters do work. It doesn't work all the time. Let's be honest, It doesn't. But I just won one on Monday because of the letter. And
congratulations!
Yes, they resonated really well with the sellers, which we probably knew that they would. They both were in the Air Force, so I was like, "Come on, drive that one in," So it won, because of that. So, I definitely think the letters do work. I have a question though. One of my clients had asked me before, do you think the agent give them the letters? And I hope agents do give the letters. What do you think what do you ladies think about even that? I really hope that any agent gives the entire contract. And I said, no, they give the letters, but then I got to think.
I don't think so. And I'll give you a specific instance. I made an offer on a Silver Spring property. I'll keep all names anonymous, but a very renowned and listing agent in Maryland, in Montgomery County, said that he would not present my letter to the seller because it was illegal. And I was like, okay, well, wow, I've been a broker now for 12 years. I like to say that I keep in touch with the laws and everything. I never knew that it was illegal to write a letter to the seller from the buyer. So of course I checked with my broker, and at the time she said, no, nothing's changed. She's like, now you can't have any fair housing violations in there. You can't talk about race and, gender and that kind of thing in the actual letter. But if you're just presenting why you want to buy the property, there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But he refused, even though there was no fair housing violations in there, he refused to present my letter to the seller.
Yeah, I think that's an issue. Just a little bit about how I present offers as a listing agent. Now it's a little bit tougher because you have so many multiple offers. I do create a multiple offer spreadsheet to make it easier for my seller to review. If there's any letters that have been written with the offer itself, I'll assign it and just take off all of the names or whatever. And I'll put, this is the letter for offer 1. This is the letter for offer 2. So on and so forth. So my spreadsheet summarizes the offer, and I might have 10 on that spreadsheet, however many offers I received. But then the letters will also correspond to whatever offer number it is. And so I do send the letters to the seller when they're ready to review the offers. I think that all packages should be presented. And in the state of Maryland specifically, I'm licensed in all 3 jurisdictions, but in speaking in Maryland, since we're just talking about Silver Spring, all offers have to be presented. I don't care if it's on a napkin, if it's on a sheet of paper, and we also have a right to present our client's offer directly to the seller. That's also a law in the state of Maryland. So if I say, Cher, I have an offer for your seller, and I want to present it myself, you have to allow me to present my offer to the seller on behalf of my buyer.
So you're saying the agent that didn't present my letter was in violation?
I'm going to say yes. It was a part of an offer, and he omitted part of your offer during the presentation. That's just my take on it. I mean, I don't know what the end result would be, but I know I don't do that personally. Of course not. So, the letter is a part of the offer.
Wow. That's good to know. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going to check into that a little bit more too.
So my next question to you ladies, how soon should the agent accept offers? Let's say the property was listed on a Wednesday. I mean, I normally like to list in the middle of the week or on a Thursday so that there's time for people to get out and see it during the weekend. But the question is, because we're seeing homes go under contract in 2 days, in 24 hours, and that's a little suspicious. Maybe it's in broker or dual agency selling. How how soon should the agent accept offers? Arnita?
So I mean, I think at least 5 to 7 days is good. But it's I can say two different ways, because I did have a client, and within 3 days she had 40 people in her house. So she was like, no more, I'm done showing. So, and that one was on the market for 3 days. I wanted to give every agent a chance to see it, but I wasn't able to because she had had enough. And honestly, I understand, COVID is here. She wanted to sell it, and it was some agents that were mad with me, but she did not want any more showings. 40 showings plus in 3 days is a lot. So, with that said, I would love to keep the houses on the market at least 5 days on the market. But, if a seller is tired of people coming in and out of going in and out, sometimes we are, our hands are tied and we have to take it off we have to take it off.
Yeah, you have to do what the sellers ask you to do. So quick question with your story. The first thing I want to know is, did you list the property coming soon?
I listed it
coming. That seasons the house and that gets the
I have a coming soon market now, and I already have an offer. They have not seen it because we cannot show it when it's coming soon. I already have an offer and already have 2 showings for it, and it's not even on the market yet.
So that leads me to my next question. You had 40 showings in 24 hours. Did your seller, a lot of times the property goes off the market, or the turnaround time is fast because the offer is acceptable. So would you say the offer that out of the 40 people that saw it, did you receive an acceptable offer in that short amount of time?
I did, but I didn't tell her about any of, I just said we have offers. I didn't tell her, what we have. So she really didn't know what was the best or how high anyone going. She simply was just, I'm just tired of people coming in my
Got it.
Yeah.
Cher, what about you?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because you can advise your clients on what you think is acceptable. And for me, I agree with Arnita, like 5 to 7 days, preferably 7 days for showing. But with the inventory being so low right now, it's like piranhas in the market. I mean, I'll just give you an example. I had a listing. My client wanted to go live very quickly. This is Friday at 11:30 p.m. All right. So I go live Friday at 11:30, and she's like, wait, I don't want to do showings till Thursday. So should we take the property off the market till Thursday? I was like, yeah, I mean, if you're not going to do showings, then let's take it off. Let's just put it coming soon. Well, she's like, no, just withdraw it. Don't put coming soon, just withdraw it. It was on the market for literally 20 minutes, and I got 3 off market, sight unseen offers. Well, I guess not off market, but sight unseen offers. And I'm like, well, I'll just hold these until we go live and I'll let them know. Well, she's like, well, wait. I want to take a look at what these offers look like. And there were 3 very strong offers, and she ended up selecting one. So, in that situation, did I advise her to go back on and see if she could get a higher offer, a better offer? I did, but she was so interested in closing the deal very quickly that she just decided to go ahead and ratify one of those 3 offers.
Wow.
So now I know I'm going to get like a very hard time from the people who are seeing it in coming soon, or have reached out to me trying to do a showing in that very small window, and they're going to be frustrated. They're going to be upset, but I have no control over that. Like, the seller's house, it's, they dictate when they want to show it, if they want to show it, etc. So that's just an example of 20 minutes on the market. I mean, do I think it's fair? No. But did I have a decision, a voice in that decision? No.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times I don't think that the buyers understand the listing agent's position and where we are with what our job entails. We don't make the decision. I get a lot of questions like, did you accept the offer? Well, I don't accept the offers. The seller does.
Right.
So all I do is present, now I'll give my opinion if they ask, but the seller knows what they're looking for and they're going to make the decision on their property. Also goes for showings. If they don't want to let people see the house at 8 a.m., they don't have to. So I think, like you said, Cher, our hands are tied and we kind of just, run the transaction and facilitate and give advice where we're asked.
Yeah.
So, that leads me to my next question. So when it comes to presenting offers, and let's say you're the listing agent, Cher, how do you walk your client through accepting an offer? Like, how do you walk your client through a presentation, an offer presentation?
So probably very similar to you. I definitely create like a Google spreadsheet that I share with them. And, I have all the pertinent details of the offer. And, I share all of that information with them without the client names, just the detail of the offer. And then, I walk them through why one offer is stronger than the other, because they may not do that. They don't do that for a living in most cases. So they don't know that just because you have a super high offer, but a low earnest money deposit and higher contingency dates, they may just be looking at that higher sales amount, and that's not always, the best case scenario, because sometimes you may have a slightly lower offer and you have low contingency days and a reputable lender that I know delivers because I've worked with them before, and it's going to be a seamless process for them. So I'm very deal specific in terms of what works best for my client. If I know that the buyer needs to be in within 15 days, but my seller has to move out in 45 to 60 days. If that's a non-negotiable for the buyer, then that might not be the right buyer for them, even though they're paying $5,000 more.
Right.
So I'm definitely the type of agent that walks them through all the scenarios. And I do highlight why I think these are my top 3 in order of strength. And then we can go through that together. Not all the time do they listen to me, like I may be giving them this advice and they're like, Cher, that's great. I just want the highest offer.
Right.
Like, and then it may fall through because,
and then I'm like, here I am again. Remember, I said,
we give them the option to pick. We give them
exactly. And in the end, we may end up with the offer that I was saying was the strongest offer. But generally speaking, I would say it's kind of a 50-50. Sometimes the seller listens to me, sometimes the seller doesn't. But I'm not guiding them to pick an offer just based on the highest price. It's a total package, because if it's a sloppy offer, I think it's going to be a sloppy transaction. You're missing all these initials. It looks a hot mess. Like, It doesn't look professional. That to me is like a sneak preview on what the whole entire transaction is going to be like.
I agree completely. Now, backing up to something you said, being a reputable lender, like, let's get into that. Like you're presenting offers and Arnita, there's a lender that you might have had a bad experience with. Let's talk about what a reputable lender is versus what's not. And then does that make the offer? Are you, giving your client advice based on the buyer's pre-approval letter?
Definitely. So, what we do, or what we should do, is we should also call the lender to make sure that the financing is okay. Before I present the offer to my client, I call every lender. Now, and I already tell the lender, I'm not asking questions to get in their business. Some things we cannot ask. We can't ask. But just mainly to make sure, how fast can they close? How long have they been in business? The lender,
right?
Number one. How often are they closing? Is it a broker, or are they a broker, or are they
an investor?
Yes, an investor. Where are you based? Are you based in California? or are you based here? A lot of those things matter.
Yes, they do.
I had a transaction that happened in, and a lot of lenders need to realize that we as agents talk. So, I remember having a really bad deal in this past summer, and I called Ariel and I asked her.
I remember that.
I called Ariel and asked her for her advice on, this deal that I was going on. It was really bad. And she said, what's the lender name? And I told her, she said, I'm having the same issue with the same lender.
Yes.
I mean,
it was so funny. It was so funny.
And then, I mean, so we, and I, of course, we do our due diligence, but but they sometimes just give us a lot of crap too. They're not being honest. Or they really can't do the deal and they're giving, bad advice to their clients. But it just so happened that we worked with the same lender and he was horrible. I think
that the biggest thing is that he didn't communicate throughout the transaction. So when you leave a listing agent in the dark, I automatically assume as a listing agent that the deal is going to fall apart when I don't hear from you. It's either going to go left or right.
Yeah.
So, it's either going so good that there's nothing to update. But I don't know that the application has been made, the appraisal's been ordered, and it's in underwriting. I'm going to be calling you.
Definitely on every
milestone. Yes, I'm going to be calling you. So,
definitely.
A reputable lender does matter when you're in a competitive market, because it could make or break the deal. Like you guys are saying, it's the backbone of the transaction.
Yeah.
And then next to that backbone is, your agent and how they're basically running the transaction.
Absolutely. And I think the communication piece is so key, as you were saying, like communication from the lender, but communication from the agent as well, just updating the client on where things are. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I've seen, and it's been more recent in the last couple of years from lenders that I have really great relationships with and are really quality lenders, is that when I'm actually making an offer in a multiple offer situation, this lender calls the listing agent.
Absolutely.
Calls, and if they don't get in touch with them via phone, they write an email to the listing agent explaining, why this client is qualified, why they're a good candidate, why they can be competitive, and that they have access to them as the lender to answer any questions and be there every step of the way. That very small thing goes a long way.
It really does.
And you would think that that is something that all lenders do, but it's not.
No,
it's a handful of lenders that I've worked with in the last 17 years that actually go that extra mile. And I have such respect for that, because that's been the defining factor in me winning an offer and me losing one.
Yeah. I have to agree with that. I mean, as I do a lot of listings, I do anywhere from 50 to 60 listings a year. And I would have to say that when I hear from the lender without reaching out to them, that makes me feel confident about the transaction. And I can ensure my client, who is the seller, that this transaction is going the way that it should and it's on time.
So agree.
Communication piece is so big in this industry. People don't buy and sell houses every day. So if we're able to communicate effectively within our industry and then also communicate effectively with our customers, I think it says a lot about our professionalism and theirs. That's just one of my biggest things. But how I start a transaction or how I work with a lender that I haven't worked with before doesn't change how I work with my reputable lenders either. It's basically a test to see if you're reputable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If you don't respond to phone calls, emails, then you kind of go on the wrong side of the transaction for me. But I'm also not the agent that's going to call you every day either. But I am going to check in on the milestones and make sure that we're moving along in the transaction, whether I'm on the buy or sell side.
I think another key thing too, in terms of, when you are making an offer in a super competitive situation, I mean, in really any situation, but especially when you're in a competitive situation, is actually picking up the phone. I know that is like non-existent these days with texting and email,
Right.
but establishing, having an agent establish a rapport with the listing agent is key. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that was the the main decision between them picking my offer over another offer. Just having a conversation. What does the seller want? What are the seller's needs? How can we put this offer together to make your seller happy? And just taking that time to do that, I know put us at the forefront of 15 offers.
Right. So Cher, I have a question for you. As devil's advocate, if you were the listing agent, are you okay with us as agents calling you and asking asking all those questions, and when will you accept an offer? How long will it be? And then maybe I'll call you back the next day and I ask you again.
Well, I mean, I'll say this. I think both you ladies know that I had like the craziest listing ever a couple months ago. It was my Line Sisters listing. And I went live on Sunday at 3, and offers were due Tuesday at 5 p.m. We had 98 showings and 42 offers. And I say that my phone was literally about to explode. I mean, I just kept having to recharge my phone over and over again. Did I answer every phone call? No, because I was on other phone calls answering questions when other people were calling in. But I did respond to everyone, every email, every text. I do think it is part of our job to be responsive, whether that's coming up with a templated response to send to everyone that gets in touch with us. Yes, it's annoying. I mean, 42 offers, you can imagine how many calls I was getting, and I wasn't even in town at the time. I was on a family trip. So
that's a big number.
It was a disaster. But I did feel like I owed it to my client. And I owed it to those potential first-time home buyers or buyers that were looking for their dream home to be responsive. So, I mean, in a perfect world, yes, I answer as many questions, sometimes not always on the phone, but definitely at least in text and email. And it does take a lot of time out of my day, but I do feel like that's what I was hired to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, as a list agent, I will say a lot of the questions that come through and a lot of the reasons why agents call us is to ask illegal questions. What's the price that your client will take? What's the reason they're selling? These are questions that we cannot answer.
Right.
And as an agent, you should know not to ask another agent those questions.
Definitely.
And I get those questions quite often on a lot of my listings, thinking that I'm going to say something illegal. Don't ask me a legal question, and I'm not answering any legal questions. You're looking at my listing and you're asking me how many bedrooms the house has. These are things that we can bypass so I can answer real questions. So I also think that it's irresponsible for another agent to call another agent when they know that the market is hot to ask questions that can be answered through the listing.
Ariel, but sometimes I'm on the road. I'm not in front of my computer. My client may have called me and they said, "Oh, I saw a sign. I got the number. I don't want to text and drive and, run off the road." So my initial instinct may be to call the agent and get more information. You don't feel like it's your responsibility as the listing agent to answer my question because I'm doing my job while I'm on the road?
I do. However, the listing agent can't be your assistant either. We have a duty as well. This is where we're going to disagree. I feel like you have a duty to your customer to research something as well. I have a duty to answer your call, but I'm also expecting that you've done something on the level of just taking the number from the sign as a professional with a license like I have, and done a little bit of research of what house you're calling on.
I just think there has to be room for grace, though, because
I agree
in
with
a
that part.
general, yeah, in a general situation, I am doing my due diligence because, I can call my assistant and ask her to look something up for me, and she'll do that for me. But if I'm on the road and, they may not even know the address of the property. They're like, it was at the corner of P and 17th, and here's the phone number. They may not even
I can understand that.
So I feel like sometimes when I call and make those phone calls, the listing agent is annoyed. They're like, didn't you look in the listing? Didn't you read the remarks? No, I didn't.
That's AP.
Look, I'm telling you.
I didn't read it. No, I didn't. And it's okay, because that's why your number is on that sign, and I expect you to answer the phone and answer my question. Not every single time, but sometimes.
Okay, so I'm playing devil's advocate because this is what we do. I just had this situation happen, and I just want to see what your response is, because I love that you need to give grace and all of this niceness. Your line sister's listing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the beach in Aruba. Cher, and you don't know me, it's not me. So let's just take me out of the picture. I'm a random agent from a different brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the beach because I'm on vacation, and you're working. You have a listing, so you're working. My buyer, I don't have anything set up with them while I'm on vacation. They call me and say, hey, I want to see this listing by Cher Castillo out in Cheverly. Okay, hold on. Let me call Cher and see if she'll show you her listing. Will you show that listing to the buyer? Because I'm on the beach and I can't do it. What's your response?
I will show the listing, or I will find somebody on my team to show the listing, because that's a potential sale.
Mm-hmm. Wait, who's potential sale?
It's a potential sale because it's my listing. You're the buyer.
But you had 100 showings, so don't you think you're going to sell it anyway?
Oh, I had 100 showings.
Yeah, and 46 offers. So
I might not do it.
That you have in Cheverly, and
more than likely, I'll have somebody on my team to.
Yeah, I might not show it personally, but I would have someone else. I would try to have someone else. I don't know that someone else would be available to meet the offer deadline, but at least I'm going to attempt. Because as you guys will learn, my least favorite answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want anyone to say no to me, and I don't want to say no to anyone. At least I will try to figure it out for you. And if I
need to borrow $100,
okay, what I can do.
Well, that's a perfect answer.
Saying no sometimes, you know that.
Right.
No is not a bad word at all. Sometimes.
We need to say no sometimes?
Sometimes no is not a bad word.
For me it is. So don't tell me no.
Okay, you're right.
Well, ladies, this is the end of our episode. Thank you all for coming and tuning in. We appreciate it. And we're going to say bye-bye for now.
And follow us on the Queens of DMV. And we're going to be posting every Thursday to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And you can listen to us weekly.
Awesome.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye.